Hi guys, happy new year. I've been really obsessed with beef noodle soup lately. I can't stop having enough. Put a beef noodle soup in front of me and I'm gonna inhale it faster than you can say your ABCs. So today I'm going to be making Taiwanese beef noodle soup. Starting with 3 green onions, I'm going to separate the white parts from the green parts. Then I'm cutting 1 medium-sized heirloom tomato into wedges. Then take 6 cloves of garlic and then crush them. Take 1 large knob of ginger and then crush it up as well. I like cutting mine up into smaller, more manageable pieces so it's easier to crush. Then I'm taking 1 medium-sized yellow onion and I'm cutting it into wedges. Then we're taking 4 dried chilies and then ripping them in half. Now we're going to open a can of tomato paste and then set it aside for later. For the soup, we're going to use beef shank. Now, I don't know if I'm the only one who gets confused about where certain cuts of beef come from. Like, what is a brisket even? What is a sirloin? Here's a diagram that I spent way too much time on of where the beef shank comes from. Beef shank requires a lot of time because it's a very tough cut, which makes it ideal for stews. This is going to be for garnish, but I think it's very important because it adds so much flavor to the broth. If you can get your hands on this, it's worth the effort. This is unseasoned pickled mustard greens. The pre-seasoned ones come in little packets like this. My personal favorite is this one, but I couldn't find it anywhere, so I got the non-seasoned version. If you use the seasoned version, you can just use it straight out of the package. For the unseasoned version, you should stir fry it with chili pepper and garlic. Here I'm cutting 1 clove of garlic, and I'm only adding 1 chili pepper because I don't like too much spice. I'm stir frying the garlic and the chili pepper first, and then I'm going to add the pickled mustard greens. At this point, I realize I fucked up because this pan was way too small, and also the spatula I'm using was kind of clunky and awkward, so I traded it with chopsticks. I swear that I am a professional. This part's very important. I'm adding sugar very liberally. Since the mustard greens are very sour, sugar just helps round out that taste. Put this in a container and then set it aside. This bok choy is for the topping, and we're going to cut it at the base. Then we're going to boil it for no longer than 3 minutes. We're going to drain it, rinse it with cold water, and then set it aside. Now let's make the spice bag. The most common way people make a spice sachet is with cheesecloth and butcher's twine, but I don't have those, so I'm going to use my tea bags. You can order a pack on Amazon for like $5. They're very cheap. I was today years old when I learned that this is actually pronounced star anise and not star anise. But anyways, star anise is great for soups, stews, and braising broths. It has a licorice-like smell and taste, and it's one of those spices that gives me nostalgia because I was obsessed with tea eggs when I was little. To the bag, we're adding 2 star anise. You'll find cloves in chai, pho, and meat marinades, and in desserts like pumpkin pie. The shape of it reminds me a lot of a stud earring for some reason. It also smells similar to cinnamon, except it's a bit sweeter and spicier and more perfume-like. To the bag, I'm adding 6 cloves. I feel like everyone knows what cinnamon is, so I won't spend too much time here, but you might be wondering why mine looks so ashy. That's because this is Ceylon cinnamon. The one most people recognize is cassia cinnamon, which is skinnier and has thicker layers. You can use whatever cinnamon you have available. To the back, I'm adding a 1-inch stick. Typically cumin is ground, but I recommend using the seeds because it's better for soups. When seasoning soups, you want to use the whole form of the spice rather than ground because we're going to be boiling it and it's going to be drawing out a lot of those complex flavors. If I could marry one of the spices on this list, it would have to be cumin. Sorry, star anise. Cumin is just so good, it's so versatile, and it goes with everything. So to the bag, I'm adding 1 teaspoon. Coriander seeds are commonly used in curries, meat marinades, and soups. Did you know that coriander and cilantro are the same thing? If you've also watched MasterChef, you know that they say coriander at least 8 times per episode. For the longest time I thought coriander was just some exotic European spice, but it's literally just cilantro. So coriander seeds are just cilantro seeds. Coriander tends to be ground, but I recommend using the whole seeds for the same reasons I mentioned before. To the bag, I'm adding 1 teaspoon. Fennel looks like Leek if it went to the gym 7 days a week, and for some reason it looks like that guy who aggressively slams his barbell on the floor. I actually really like fennel, I don't know why I'm slandering it right now, but I just had to say it. Here we're using its tinier counterparts, the seeds. It has a mild licorice flavor and can be found in curries, stews, and bread. To the bag, I'm adding 1 teaspoon. And with that, we have our complete spice bag. You can use dried wheat noodles here, but I find that fresh wheat noodles make a huge difference in texture. Here I'm just gonna boil it according to the package. I think I might be outing myself as an iPad kid, but whatever, I don't care. Too often when I'm cooking noodles, the water always overflows. So I learned this trick in Cooking Mama, where when that happens, you blow on the surface, and then that will naturally push the bubbles down because of the air pressure. This proves that Cooking Mama isn't full of shit and that she actually knows what she's doing. Strain the noodles and then rinse them with cold water so it stops cooking. First, we're going to cook the meat for 5 minutes to remove all the scum. My first time doing this technique was when I was making pho from scratch for the first time, and I thought it was super weird because I thought it was going to remove some flavor from the meat, but that's really not the case. One time I didn't do this, and the soup was looking like dirty laundry water. So don't skip it, it'll make your broth look more clean and it'll taste a lot better. After rinsing the beef, I'm going to set it aside. This oil dispenser has quite literally changed my life. It just gives me way more control over how much oil I pour, and it's not messy at all. Once the pot is hot, we're going to add ginger, onions, and garlic. Stir it around until it's a bit charred, and then we're going to add the white parts of the green onions. Then add the tomato wedges and stir it around so it's a little bit incorporated. Then add the red chilies. Then I'm adding tomato paste and doubanjiang. We're just gonna stir in that tomato paste and doubanjiang, let them cook a little bit, then add the beef back in and then mix it around. Next, I'm adding Shaoxing wine, sugar, regular soy sauce, then add the dark soy sauce, and then stir everything together. We're gonna let it simmer for like 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I'm adding the green parts of the green onions. This is my favorite part because it's very satisfying. I'm gonna add 11 cups of water to the pot. Give it a stir. Then I'm adding my spice bag that I clumsily dropped and then had to pick it up so it looked aesthetic for the video, which ended up looking kind of awkward, but anyways, we're gonna ignore that. So try to push it down so that it gets submerged into the soup. We're gonna let this simmer on medium-low for 90 minutes.
1 eternity later.
Wow, look at it. At this point, I like to give it a taste and then adjust it to my preference. I felt like something was missing, and that was MSG. I added about 4 teaspoons and I was very pleased. I feel like the broth came to life. When I'm eating noodles, I like bowls that are sloped. I feel like it adds a lot to the noodle eating experience. Ideally, you want to strain all the soup through one of those big ass strainers, but since I don't have one, I'm just gonna ladle it through my smaller strainer. Then pick a few pieces of meat, put it on top, along with the bok choy. You can also add green onions if you want. Lastly, I'm adding the pickled mustard greens. And after what felt like 4 hours of cooking, we have this beautiful bowl of Taiwanese beef noodle soup. It's delicious, it's rich, it's salty, and has a ton of flavor packed into the soup. I'm way too excited to eat this right now. I'm gonna dig in. Some noodles. That's amazing. Yes. I'm going to finish this off camera, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, Happy New Year. I've been doing this channel for about 8 months now, which is really crazy because it felt like yesterday when I started this channel, and we're still going, apparently. I hope you guys stay safe and healthy this year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.